This is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins. We're going to talk about the hit revival of the musical Nine with two of its stars. One is a beloved Broadway legend, and the other, a new kid on the block who we were so impressed with that we decided to ask him along. Here to introduce them, my co-host, Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
You do not want to miss the Roundabout Theater Company's production of Nine. It is a terrific show, and it stars that beloved Broadway legend, Chita Rivera. Welcome to Theater Talk.
It's lovely to be here. This is my first time.
And, well, welcome. And that newcomer to Broadway, we're trying to give him a little leg up in his career. Send him on his way.
What a newcomer.
That's right. Antonio Banderas, I believe it is, yes.
That's right.
Welcome to Theater Talk.
Thank you very much.
First of all, congratulations on both of the performances. They're really extraordinary.
You.
And it's a terrific revival directed by David Laveau. Now, I'm curious, you are both playing roles that other actors really put their stamps on. Lilian Montevecchi, in your case, and Raul Julia, in your case. Any trepidation of taking on a role that you probably saw Lilian do and people remember her doing it well?
Yeah. When I saw it, she just popped out. I mean, there's one Lilian. And I don't know if you've ever seen her, Antonio. She's really quite remarkable. And I loved her. When I was asked to do it, I did think of that, you know. But then when I had lunch with David Laveau, I knew that he was going to just do something entirely different with the whole piece. And you have to trust in the theater. You have to really believe in, you know, your directors and your choreographers. And I believed that he would do something that would make it mine.
What did he tell you at that lunch that he was going to do to the show that
well,
would be different from the Tommy Tune production?
First of all, he said that he was really going to go as close as he could to the Fellini film 8½. And that was quite different, I thought, than when I saw Tommy's version. So I thought, well, you know, she is going to be French, but she'll really be in an Italian atmosphere. The people will really look like people, Italian women, you know. With Antonio, you know, that was a huge plus for me because I was always a fan, but boy, I'm over the boards now. He and Mastroianni, he's always been one of my favorite actors. Antonio just puts that black suit on and becomes exactly what Guido Contini is. And you know, when you have a great cast and you all become one. You get into that room, you become the inside of the play. You don't have a camera outside and look at it and say, how's this going and how do I look here? And you just become the liver and the kidney and the heart and the whole thing. And it began to really feel more and more like mine. And I actually wanted to call Lilian and say, you know, what an honor to do your role. And it's a lot of fun, and I hope I'll see you soon, you know.
But now it's mine.
Now it's mine.
That's right. Now, you did not see Raul Julia do it.
No, I didn't see. And I had the opportunity, and I still have the opportunity of going to the library of the Lincoln Center and seeing. I didn't want to, though. I wanted to create the character from zero. I didn't want to have any kind of influence of intoxication, in a good way, but from other way to understand this character. Now I'm gonna go.
Yes,
now I get tremendous curiosity just to see, because I met Raul in life and I love the guy, and so now I want to see what he did with that character.
Well, what's different, I think, about the two performances, from what I remember from his performance, was that there was less of the childlike man that you're playing. He was more kind of a big, charismatic, autocratic director.
He was darker.
And the vulnerability wasn't there. What's so interesting about your interpretation is that from the beginning, you seem like a guy who's really lost. I mean, you sense that a breakup is coming.
Yeah, there is something that for me is very interesting about the character. I never saw him, and many people who saw that production came to me, oh, he's a manipulator, oh, he's a deceiver. I never saw him like that. I saw Guido Contini always a man with a tremendous capacity for loving women, for loving life, for loving his art. And some part of this love contradicts with his own education as a very Catholic Italian. And so the church comes to play a role in the whole entire play, as the family, his mother too. And that character of Sarragina, who is a woman who is actually in many Federico Fellini's movies. It's not only there, it's in Amalcor, it's in other movies, and represents sex, or the discovering of sex at the age of 9, actually, of the character. So I try to just portray that boyish thing that the character already has in the title of the play. It's called 9, you know, in several parts of the, let's say, Freudian introspection that the character does on himself. There are other parts that are a little bit bitter than that. In the second part, he doesn't become, he's not funny anymore. He started becoming bitter. And he got, I think in some way, he got this kind of self-destructive, or I try to approach the character in that way, you know. He wants to really go to the bottom of the pool, and for that he got to cut the links that he got with all these characters surrounding him until the moment that he's totally alone. And at that moment, he got this Jimmy the Cricket, mini-me, I call him,
mini-me, yes,
his own self, being 9, who comes to tell him, come on, you have to grow up.
Gotta grow
you
up.
got to make choices.
Beautiful, beautiful moment.
He's a very spoiled man in the beginning because he's indulged by his success and his genius.
Absolutely.
And you've given him $1 million
Yes.
as his producer for the next movies.
And this has caused him to become, and also he's a very attractive man, and this has caused him to become faithless. And now, can you relate to the draw of having great success, great charisma, and having difficulty keeping together your sense of stability and humanity and
oh yes, I do.
And not becoming just a jerk?
Oh yes, I do. I think
we should ask his fellow cast members.
Well, no, but you understand what I'm saying.
Success can be a tremendous accident in the life of anybody. Tremendous, because it gives you a wrong perspective of life and a wrong perspective of relationships. You know, this tap in the back once you have hit a couple of successes and the people just want to approach you is so superficial. And it just may lead you to the wrong places all the time. And I think it will continue, you know, obviously, is suffering of this. Is suffering of this because the women that I have surrounding me all the time on the play, they talk about that. Actually, they say, oh, he was so successful, that movie, I would have loved to be the character that he did in that movie. So he's full of this kind of thing. But if, in that accident called success, you can lose yourself totally. Totally, especially at the beginning when you are not ready for that, because sometimes success comes in a much more natural way. You know, but sometimes when the success comes very fast to your career and very strong, it may just put you out of balance.
Did you have that experience in your? I mean, you were a Broadway star from a very early age, and a huge Broadway star with right out of West Side Story.
Pardon me. There's something about the theater that really keeps your feet on the ground. You know, it's a family. You know, you come in, you have a rehearsal process where you get to know each other. You get to know what you're doing. You get to know it from beginning, middle to the end. You get to become involved with the entire piece. And so, you know, dancers are workhorses anyhow. You know, the harder they work, the more they're in the rehearsal hall, the safer they feel, the more complete they feel. And I mean, people used to ask all the time with West Side or with Birdie or any of those shows, did you know at the time that that was going to be a big hit or something? You don't even think about that. You're so busy.
You're working.
You never even think about that, and they're quite surprised, which is kind of funny. So, I mean, I would never switch my process, whether my life. I would still rather have come from the theater, you know, and it looks like it's where I'm staying.
but Antonio, why are you here in the theater? I mean, you have a wonderful movie career. Why have you come here to Broadway?
Because this is my life. I am an actor because of theater. Not many people knows this in America because I obviously I didn't do American theater or theater in English for that matter, and it took me a while to take this decision. I was offered actually 4 years ago, and I said no, Not only just because of the English and because of the fact of getting on the stage in a musical, which is another add thing to the whole entire problem, but because of the respect, tremendous respect that I feel for the people of Broadway. I am an actor because of musicals. I've been saying this in interviews since I arrived to America 12 years ago. Hair, this great superstar. Those are the plays that, for me, they taught me that theater was not only literature, something that I learned in school that was cold and distant. When I saw those plays, I thought, oh my God, this is something that actually has something to do with me, and it has its own entity. It doesn't belong to literature, it doesn't belong to movies, it doesn't belong, it's another type of thing. And the ritual was the thing that made me jump to the other side of the mirror and said, I want to just tell stories like these guys are doing to me, and you know, and that was the thing. But, so it's very interesting. I've been saying that in some interviews now in New York, but I feel home. It's very strange because I don't belong to New York. I don't definitely belong to Broadway.
You do now.
Yeah, you've been embraced.
Yeah. But I feel home. I feel like there is an international language when you do theater. When I step in the rehearsals, not even in the theater, and the rehearsals, the first day, it was like those 14 years that I didn't do any kind of theater happened yesterday. It was like a recognition of things, you know. Oh my God,
What was he like when he first came into the rehearsals? I mean, you know, most of the people in the cast have been on Broadway for a long time. You guys know the drill, and all of a sudden, you know, we've got a big star who hasn't been on a Broadway stage about to carry it.
Antonio has a way of just being Antonio. He walks in and he's one of the actors. He immediately made everybody feel comfortable. He didn't at all seem to be an outsider or someone who had never done this before. we knew he knew what he was doing.
What the challenge was, and
absolutely, and was there 200%. It was just an extraordinary rehearsal. We had plenty of time.
I'm laughing because the first day, I remember that I was introduced to the whole entire company. Chita, of course, from the beginning, she opened herself like this, you know, anything that you need. That's what she did to me, and she continues doing that. She's an angel for everybody in this business. But, you know, personally, I have to say that too. But I remember being introduced to all the girls, and all of them were just filling some papers for equity or something.
Right.
And all the girls were like, hi. You know, looking at me like, well, you know. So I knew at that point, I said, oh, I have to make them understand that I can hold this, that I am the main character, and they can come on my shoulder. So I remember that afternoon we did a reading for the first time. We had a piano player there, so we were going to sing for the first time. And the first song that I have was Guido's song. And what
I remember I was nervous for you.
Everybody was reading. So what I did is just said, okay, let's just put things in perspective here. I just closed the book, I stood up, and I sing the song to all of them, their eyes. And from that moment on, we were all together in the same company.
I remember because when he stood up, I went, wow, this is brave, you know, because nobody had heard him sing, nobody had heard anything, and he just stood up. See, I love that because you go right to the middle of it, you go right to the heart of it, and you don't back off of anything. You're there, and he's there. He is absolutely where he's supposed to be.
Well, I mean, it's jumping in to grab the character right off the bat, too. I mean, the character is surrounded by women, and charm them all in that moment.
There is no way you can hide in theater. In theater,
no hiding.
No. So what are we going to do? Are we going to play this for real? No.
That's right.
That's it. So we have to go from the beginning. Full.
Did you guys look at the movie a lot? 8.5? Since David wanted to go back to that, you would look at that.
Yes.
And not the Tommy Tune production, but you'd look
not
at.
During the period of rehearsals.
No, we didn't all together. But I rented the film and I watched it a couple of times. But getting back to Liliane for just a second, she. When I was asked to do it, I went, ooh, Liliane is really French. You know,
You're not.
I'm not. I'm a Puerto Rican girl that's about to play a French woman. And I saw some of these French words and I went, oh my God, Chita, what are you getting yourself into? It could have been so much simpler doing something else. And then I went, but you see, we love challenge. The theater just, we create all of this ourselves. And I love the challenge.
I am curious, though, to get a little more into his relationship with these women and how the women see him. Your character has backed him, really.
Absolutely.
to do a movie. He's had a lot of flops,
Right.
and she's put a lot of money on him.
That's right.
Yet I still get the sense, though, that she's even though she's brittle and tough, she's still as taken in and charmed and a bit in love with him as the others are, too.
Yes, but I don't think she ever had an affair with him or anything like that. But she recognizes his cleverness, his gift, his 9-year-old person. She sees it, and she's had wonderful experiences with him before, but she really believes that he can do it. And the only way he's going to do it is if she just pushes him and pushes him and pushes him and puts that fear in him. And so I adore him.
Yeah.
He makes her chuckle, you know, as he's saying, you know, I think that we should wait. You know, we could make.
Well, she knows what he's up to when he's stalling and pretending, you know, you're doing the movie. But you know,
and we should say, for those who haven't seen any of the source works, that your situation is you have not a clue what to do with the movie.
Nothing.
Not a
You've
clue.
got to deliver a movie in a
don't
few
have
days,
any
and you have
money.
no idea what to do.
It makes it up.
Actually-
Has the audacity to make it up in front of me.
Right, you're trying to con her.
Actually, the same process than Fellini. Not just Marcello doing
true,
the movie.
true.
Fellini was suffering when he was doing 8 1/2.
Yeah.
He didn't have an ending. The ending of the movie is a trailer.
Oh, really?
That's
Oh yeah.
true, yeah.
He prepared a trailer for the movie just to start promoting the movie, and he loved it. He says, "This is going to be the end of the movie." So there are many things. You know, when you do a project like this that is playing with fantasy, reality, reflecting mirrors of reality, all of these things. You know, there are many suggestions. And going back to the relationship with Liliane Lafleur, there is a very interesting moment in the play that I live very strongly. And it's when you are in the middle of the number, she's talking with the audience, and there is a moment that the kid, me, little, appears there with a gift. And I always come from behind the table, very slowly, watching all of this operation happening in my mind. And I always think that, not probably so young, but Liliane Lafleur met Guido Contini and believed in him when he was very young.
Oh, yes.
So this gift that he's bringing is probably his art. And all of these things are suggestions that you make to the audience. Some of them, they may pick these things up or not. But I got this attention almost like watching myself establishing contact for the first time with Liliane Lafleur, who received him in her arms.
Right.
And in the movie, these situations happens too. You may watch the movie 5 times and not pick things.
Yes,
that in the
that's true.
6th time that you see it, you say,
Yeah, you
oh,
see it.
that's it. That's linking me to this.
Right.
You know, so the play in that aspect play almost like a magic game with the audience. Some members of the audience get. Sometimes I am at the end of the play, and I have the audience very close in the Eugene O'Neill Theatre, as close as I have you now.
Yeah.
And I can feel the people weeping, literally, you know, because, and they have been laughing 5 minutes before.
Yes, yes.
Right.
But they're weeping there because suddenly the play goes to places in your subconscious, you know, that you don't know why, make you cry. It goes to tremendous depth. When at the beginning of the play, we are in a mood that we feel almost like we're seeing a sitcom.
Yeah.
You know, things are happening very...
It's fast and joking.
Yeah, it's
and all
fast and joking,
loud,
and suddenly,
everybody's
BOM!
chatting.
Right.
It hits you when you least
true.
expect it,
Yes.
you know? It stabs you
That's
in the
theater.
back.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's theater.
yeah.
But it's very interesting, though. I mean, oftentimes a show ends, and in this case, he has to accept this character being alone, and that wonderful tableau at the end of the women on the, you all are on the stair.
Right,
And
yes.
it turns around, and all sort of, you're all waving goodbye.
Yes.
And actually, though, I mean, in order for him to survive, he has got to now learn what it's like to just be alone without all of these distractions.
be an
so we
adult.
can figure out who he is and be an adult
Exactly.
again, before he can then go rebuild the relationship with
Right.
his wife.
Right.
Yeah. It's a beautiful.
But it's almost magically happened. Once he touched the bottom of his life, and he recognized and the pain
Yeah.
that of leaving this lady that he genuinely, I think, loves.
Sure.
Immediately that happened, the wife is back.
Yeah.
And that's the way that we wanted to finish the play, which I think didn't happen in
I
the
don't
first
think it
production.
did.
It happens in the movie, though.
Yes, she does
In
come
the
back.
movie,
That's right. In the movie, she comes
he
back.
invites his wife to go around in this circus, you know, all dancing together, and they're holding hands, and they
Yes,
are all
yes,
together, as all these characters come from this staircase, you know,
Yes.
the character of the life.
And
of
I think
Guido
we're very
Contini.
moved because we want to believe
Yeah.
that that's going to work out.
Right.
We
You know,
want to believe that
every
that
night,
can happen.
every
Absolutely.
night
Absolutely.
I up on the staircase, when I see you lean, I mean, he has such a total understanding of the body, and in the theater, he leans towards her, and it's theatrical and it's emotional at the same time. And I always say before the lights go out, I love a happy ending, because all she does is take her glasses off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what he has done before. He's taken them
stole
off her.
them from her.
He stole her from and put them on the other woman,
Yeah.
which is horrific.
I actually think in the Laveau production, like the Fellini movie, there are a lot of details that you may not get the first time
Yes.
around, but I've seen it twice now, and there are moments in everything. Oh, I see how he's,
Yes.
what this means and where he's going with that. It's very analytical production.
In the Fellini movie, there is a thing that became very famous. This Asa Nisi Massa.
What's that?
Asa Nisi Massa is something that Marcello Mastroianni has in his mind. There is a party in the spa one night, and there is a guesser, a magician, who guesses whatever you have in your mind. And he says, can she know what I have in my mind? And she says, yes. So what it is? And she writes in a chalkboard, Asa Nisi Massa. And many critics have been going around that. But it's a very European game. It's a language that you create in a school so the people cannot understand you.
It's like
so
Pig
you say,
Latin.
I see.
Sa, ni, si, masa. What it means is anima. Anima. Anima means soul. That's all the game there. But actually, you have to see that movie several times just to
get what's going
to realize that. But that's the game that Federico Fellini was playing with the audiences. And you know, in some way, that's the game that David Levo and we all are playing with the audiences. It's just a word of suggestion. Sometimes you don't know why something hits you, but it hits you.
Now, speaking of games, we enter this period of Tony Award nominations and the run of Tony Awards. And
What are you talking about?
You've been through this
Tony
before.
Awards?
The game of
The only
the
Tony here is me.
That's right. The game of the Tony Awards. What do you make of there's going to be competition now between Nine and between Gypsy, and you're actually going to be, I would imagine, in competition with people of your own cast. A lot of women from your cast are going to be nominated,
You are in
and you're going to be
competition.
fighting it out with old Harvey Firestein, who's a canny political player. Any advice for the newcomer on the block, what the whole run-up to the Tony Awards is like, Chita?
Oh gosh, you're saying it to the wrong person here, because I adore this man, and I want him to have it. I want him to have it. And I just can only say that he's got to go and enjoy all the festivities, and know that he's absolutely brilliant in what he's doing, and that everybody on Broadway have totally, embraced him. And I mean, I've lost, how many times have I lost? I've got 2, but I lost 4 times. And it doesn't make you a bad person.
What I would like, it's just, I don't believe very much in competition in art.
Yeah, it hurts.
Because art is subjective. And there are 2 people sit down in front of a show, you like it, I don't like it. I discovered something on Broadway that I never had on Hollywood, I got to say. And just the sense of community that is very special. I remember going to Oklahoma one night because our musical director was the musical director of Oklahoma at that time. It was his last night, and we went there. And in the dressing rooms that Sunday night, there were people from Phantom of the Opera, from Urinetown, from all the shows, enjoying all together the fact and the joy of being on the stage. That's something beautiful.
And that's what you've
we
always
should
loved about
support
the theater.
each other.
That's exactly
That is
what-
the
and
main
that's what
thing.
he-
And the tourneys should be about that, about saying, here we are, these are our muscles, we are putting, it is something magical. At 8 o'clock in New York, every day, the curtain goes up and thousands of people are receiving stories. That is beautiful, my friend. And I love to be part of it. I love to be part of that.
Well, it's a terrific show, and really wonderful, wonderful performances by
Thank you, sir.
Antonio Banderas. Welcome to Broadway.
Thank you very much.
And
I'd love to hear that.
And Chita Rivera, thank you for never having
Lasted.
left Broadway. Thanks for having endured. Chita Rivera, Antonio Banderas, thanks a lot for being our guest tonight.
Very much.
Thank you very much.
Your modern ideas, I simply compare. One day,
And the funny we answer to what you are after. The music
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Friedrich Loewe Foundation, the Corey and Bob Dinelli Charitable Fund, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, and public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
Playbill Online is the official website of Theater Talk and the home of the Playbill Club, providing information and opportunities for theater lovers. We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.